Hi, hello, and welcome again, everybody, to another unscripted and unprepared video for Natural Juan. Okay, like I said, it's unscripted, and I'm doing this completely unprepared. Well, a little bit prepared, but hey. Anyway, I'm doing this as a kind of rant. This is a rant. This isn't a proper video about it is about tabletop role playing games, but not in the way you'd think. I'm doing this because recently I saw a lot of stuff on YouTube that really upset me. It's that Satanic Panic revolving around tabletop role playing games is back. Yes, you heard that right. There the narrative is back with tabletop role playing games having harmful effects on players, especially if they're children, and it leads them to murder or suicide. I wanted to bring up this topic because I honestly think that this kind this kind of issue should have ended back in the 80s, and it should have stayed that way, to be honest. But people are bringing it back again for reasons I can't understand, and frankly, it's awful. It's already been proven that tabletop role-playing games like Dungeons and Dragons or Pathfinder, that they're harmless, and if anything, they might even actually be therapeutic or even educational for children. For example, I'll cite because it allows them to simulate certain experiences. It allows them, for example, to simulate overcoming a problem. This problem can be like something fantastical. Maybe they slay a dragon, or maybe they help bring together a quarreling family. Stuff like that. Also, which I can't express enough, is the kind of math that it can teach you. Yeah, one reason I actually got into tabletop role playing games is because of the math aspect of tabletop role playing, like adding +2 bonuses to attacks, or even +5 bonus to attacks. That will improve your character's chances, and there will be penalties like a -2 or a divided by 2 in case they're facing an enemy that is much more powerful than they are. So yeah, it's got a lot of actual educational elements in it. Unfortunately, these people are once again bringing up the issue of satanic panic, that playing tabletop role-playing games, especially Dungeons and Dragons, can lead to one worshipping the devil or committing evil. But to be honest, I think it has more to do with the players themselves. It has more to do with the players having mental health problems to begin with. They made a movie about this called Dark Dungeons before, and it starred Tom Hanks, and it showed how the character eventually unraveled because of his obsession with Dungeons and Dragons. I need to point out though that it's also shown, maybe not in the movie, but his obsession with Dungeons and Dragons, that was just a symptom of what was really wrong with him. And it was like maybe he didn't have a happy life at home, or maybe one of his parents wasn't there to watch him. So I have to tell you guys, especially those who are unfamiliar with tabletop role-playing games, please don't vilify or demonize an otherwise harmless and possibly even helpful hobby just because you think it's evil. Maybe you see that there is a demon, a picture of a demon in the book. That doesn't automatically mean you worship the devil. Now, there's also Sandy Peterson. Now, he is a devout Mormon, but he's also one of the leading creators when it comes to materials for Dungeons and Dragons and Pathfinder. He's the one that made Call of Cthulhu and stuff like that. And he usually makes demon characters. When people ask him, but you're a religious person, why do you make all these demons? And his reply to that was, the demons are there to be defeated. The demons are there to be enemies for the players to face and hopefully overcome. So it doesn't encourage devil worship. As a matter of fact, it encourages you to destroy the said devils. So I don't see why people are once again targeting Dungeons and Dragons and other tabletop role-playing games. There are tabletop role-playing games that are pretty bad, but we'll talk about them some other time. But anyway, why are they targeting tabletop role-playing games when there are in fact bigger and more important issues that should be addressed first? Like, okay, I'll tell you guys a little horror story. And please listen, this is quite important. So, as you can probably see from time to time, I show images of me play game mastering for a kid who's also my student around here. And we played Mutants and Masterminds, a superhero game. She usually played as Supergirl. But anyway, I posted a lot of me and her playing on our community Facebook page and Discord, and it was pretty good. Actually, I tried to make the game as educational for her as possible. She had to do her own math. She had to calculate her own +2 or +5 bonuses. She had to keep track of her hero points so she can use them in some instances. She had to keep track of her range, like how far can Supergirl throw some random object or something like that. But then, eventually, some guy started messaging me privately on Facebook. It started out as harmless. He was just asking about where do I get my players and stuff like that. So yeah, I talked to him for a while, but then eventually I began to find out that he was becoming obsessed with my players. He was less about the game than my actual player, And that's when I very slowly realized this guy is looking for, quote unquote, something else. So I reported it to a community admin. I stopped communicating with the guy. And that was it. That was almost a horror story. Luckily, though, I live far away from that guy because I think he was an American. And I live in the Philippines, so lucky me. Lucky student, too, that she'll stay out, that guy probably. But we got our own problems here, to be honest. But from that incident, I can tell you that there are people like that in almost all communities, actually, not just the tabletop RPG community. You have them everywhere. They could be in schools. They could be in your local theater. Anywhere. And I don't want to mention names, but maybe even your local religion. It's entirely possible that's happened. I mean, I'm Catholic. I know about that stuff. So I know that not everyone who is a religious leader is good. I know about that. So please don't demonize another why. I'm just repeating myself here, but I'm not going to get tired of repeating it. Please don't demonize an otherwise harmless and possibly even helpful hobby just because you think it might be demonic. There are worse things out there. There's illegal drugs, for example. That's also bad, right? Huh? So please, yeah, this is just a rant, okay? It's not a serious video. But this is just my reaction to all that stuff. As you can see, as you can probably hear, there's a lot of background noise because this is just me ranting. I'm very unhappy with this because I was really hoping that this kind of issue died out back in the 80s. You don't need to bring it back up because honestly, there's stuff out there that's worse. Okay, I'll stop with the whataboutisms because that's what it is, right? Because me saying there's stuff out there that's worse. It's just that please don't attribute stuff to the hobby that's not really part of the hobby. Devil worship is not a part of the hobby. Demons are there to be attacked, to be enemies. They are usually opponents to be overcome. So, please, stop it. One thing I will say, the reason I'm so passionate about saying all this, even though I'm not in the United States, because I know in the US and other Western countries, D&D and other tabletop games are more popular. They're not popular here. But remember that whatever happens there, it's going to trickle down to us Filipinos in some way. So if you guys keep on talking about Dungeons and Dragons being evil, very soon religious leaders and elders who aren't very smart in the Philippines are going to say the same thing. They're going to start saying, ooh, Dungeons and Dragons and Warhammer 40,000 are evil. They're going to do that. They are going to do that here. Maybe in our language, but it'll be the same thing. So, yeah, that's it. So, as a future announcement, I'm going to be covering the works of William Hope Hodgson, and after that, the anime Elfenlied. So, that's it for this rant. I hope you picked up something good. And remember, it's usually the players that are the problem, not the game itself. There are people who get too obsessed with this, or people who get too obsessed with other players, especially if they're very young. But those are not unique to the tabletop RPG community. Okay? So anyway, that's it. Goodbye.